It was supposed to be a night of celebration. London's glittering film industry gathering had drawn celebrities, journalists, and devoted fans, all eager to see their favorite stars step into the spotlight. For many, the highlight of the evening was the reunion of Heughan and Caitríona Balfe, two actors whose bond, forged over a decade, had long been admired by audiences around the world. They arrived separately, but the cameras captured warm smiles and a brief embrace before they stepped onto the red carpet. Fans cheered, snapping photos, delighted to see them together again. For years, they had been celebrated as the Golden Duo, a partnership that extended far beyond the screen. Yet, what unfolded just 15 minutes later inside the event hall would leave everyone stunned. According to multiple witnesses, tension began quietly. Sam and Caitriona were seated at the same table near the stage, surrounded by colleagues and industry executives. At first, it was just an animated discussion, hands moving, voices raised slightly above the music. But within moments, it escalated. Sam's tone shifted, one attendee recalled. At first he sounded passionate, but then it was clear he was frustrated. Caitriona, on the other hand, wasn't backing down. You could feel the atmosphere around them change. Another guest described how the conversation quickly drew attention. Everyone else at the table went silent. You don't often see them like that, two professionals, usually so composed, suddenly so visibly upset. What startled people most was the intensity. Witnesses claimed Sam leaned forward, his voice firm, his expression serious. Caitriona matched his energy, her hands gesturing sharply as she responded. Though no microphones caught their exact words, those nearby said the disagreement revolved around a professional matter, possibly linked to a potential new collaboration that had sparked divided opinions. It wasn't playful banter, a journalist whispered afterward. It was a genuine argument, right there in front of everyone. Their voices weren't screaming, but they were loud enough to turn heads across the room. Within minutes, phones were out. Short clips began circulating online, showing Sam and Caitriona in the heat of their exchange. Though the videos were grainy and the words inaudible, their body language spoke volumes. Sam's jaw clenched, Caitriona shaking her head, both visibly unwilling to concede. The reaction from fans was immediate and explosive. Twitter timelines filled with shock and confusion. Wait, are Sam and Caitriona arguing? My heart can't take this. 15 minutes ago, they were smiling for photos, now this? What happened? No, no, no. Not the duo we've adored for 10 years. Please tell me it's just a misunderstanding. Instagram fan accounts replayed the viral clips, analyzing every gesture, every glance, every pause between their words. One post captioned, "From laughter to tension in minutes. What went wrong?" For a fandom that had spent years celebrating their on-screen and off-screen closeness, the sight of friction felt almost surreal. Inside the event, the mood had shifted dramatically. Conversations hushed as more guests realized what was happening. It was like a cloud settled over the room, one attendee described. The energy completely changed. No one wanted to intervene, but you could feel the discomfort everywhere. Eventually, an organizer approached the table, gently interrupting the exchange. Sam leaned back in his chair, his face flushed, while Caitriona folded her arms, her expression unyielding. They both fell silent, but the tension lingered like smoke. When the next speaker took the stage, applause rang out half-heartedly. The spotlight may have been on the awards, but all eyes remained on the pair who had just shaken the room with their very public disagreement. By the time the event ended, speculation was rampant. Had it been a clash over work? A personal misunderstanding? Or something deeper? Something that had been building for months behind closed doors? A source close to the actors hinted ominously, "What you saw tonight was only the surface. The real reason for that argument is far more complicated, and far more shocking, than anyone realizes." And with that, the story spread like wildfire. Fans left unsettled, the media buzzing. The bond once seen as unbreakable now under question. The clips of Heughan and Caitríona Balfe's heated exchange had barely hit social media before they were everywhere. By the next morning, the headlines were relentless. Shock in London. Heughan and Balfe in fiery confrontation. From co-stars to combatants, fans stunned as beloved duo argue publicly. For a pair so often described as inseparable, on screen and off, the spectacle of their argument was almost unthinkable. But as the dust began to settle, whispers emerged about what might have triggered the outburst. Sources close to the event suggested the disagreement stemmed from a potential new collaboration. After years of being synonymous with Outlander, there had been ongoing talks of a joint project, something that would reunite the iconic duo outside the Highland saga. But according to insiders, the visions for this project were not aligned. Sam was pushing for something intimate, something that leaned into what fans loved about their partnership, one source said. Caitriona, on the other hand, wanted to establish more independence, especially with her family life now. She felt another overly close project might blur boundaries she's been trying to maintain. If true, the clash was more than a creative disagreement. It was the collision of two deeply personal priorities. For Sam, honoring fan loyalty meant leaning into familiarity. For Caitriona, protecting her privacy and family meant stepping away from too much fan-driven expectation. The fandom, known for its fierce loyalty, quickly split into camps. On one side, some sympathized with Sam. "He's right," one fan posted. "The fans have carried them for 10 years. We deserve one last project together." Others defended Caitriona, praising her honesty about boundaries. "She's not wrong," another wrote. "She has a family now. She doesn't owe anyone a performance at the expense of her personal life." The debate turned heated across Twitter threads and Instagram comment sections. What began as disappointment in the argument soon morphed into a larger conversation about celebrity boundaries, fan expectations, and the cost of maintaining public personas. Unsurprisingly, the media feasted on the drama. Talk shows replayed the grainy clips with commentary. Tabloids speculated wildly about whether their friendship had fractured. Entertainment magazines sought statements from anyone connected to either actor. One columnist wrote, "For a decade, Heughan and Balfe represented stability in an industry defined by fleeting alliances. To see them clash so openly feels like the collapse of a fantasy we've all bought into." Another analyst was more cautious. "Arguments happen. The only reason this is news is because of who they are, and because fans have mythologized their relationship. But behind the headlines, they're just two professionals with differing views." As the media firestorm grew, both Sam and Caitriona remained quiet publicly. Neither addressed the incident directly in the immediate aftermath. This silence only fueled speculation. Some wondered if their teams were negotiating damage control, while others feared the lack of comment meant the rift was serious. Meanwhile, insiders continued to feed the frenzy. One attendee claimed the argument ended with Caitriona leaving the table visibly upset. Another insisted Sam had looked equally rattled, pacing the corridor backstage before returning for the rest of the evening. What made the story so gripping was not just the fight itself, but what it symbolized. For 10 years, Sam and Caitriona had been more than co-stars. They had been each other's anchor in the storm of international fame. Their closeness had been celebrated, dissected, and even romanticized by millions. To see cracks appear, no matter how brief, was like watching a fairy tale unravel in real time. It reminded fans that behind the glamour and the carefully curated public appearances, friendships can falter, tempers can flare, and even legends can clash. By the end of the week, however, a more hopeful note emerged. A source close to the pair told one outlet, "Yes, they had an argument. Yes, it was heated. But arguments happen between people who care about each other. They've been through too much together to let one fight undo it all." That reassurance calmed some fears, though the fandom remained uneasy. The lingering question was not whether Sam and Caitriona would reconcile. They almost certainly would. But whether their bond had been permanently altered by a disagreement that played out so publicly. As of now, the truth of their argument remains partly obscured. The viral clips show tension, the whispers suggest deeper disagreements, and the silence from both stars leaves fans clinging to speculation. What is certain is that this single moment, 15 minutes of conflict at a London event has left a lasting mark. For a duo who once seemed untouchable, the sudden eruption served as a reminder that even the strongest partnerships are human, fragile, and subject to strain. And so the world waits. Will Heughan and Caitríona Balfe emerge stronger from this storm? Or has the golden duo's bond truly been tested in ways fans never imagined?